Hello everyone, my name is Ronak and you're watching VectoArt. So in today's video, we will take a look at a sample tool by Avalonia called XAML Playground, which will help you understand the controls that Avalonia provides and how to use them. So without any further ado, let's get started. So for those who haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. It means a lot and it motivates me to create more such videos. So moving ahead, if you haven't checked out my previous videos on Avalonia, you can go to my channel where I have a playlist dedicated for Avalonia, where I have talked about how to get started with Avalonia, how to use the MVVM framework, what are data templates, XAML designer, and how to add and layout controls and so on. So let's proceed further and let's go to Avalonia website. You can go to Google and just go to Avalonia here, and you'll get this. Let me do one thing. Let me just go to Google so that you don't have to. So let's search for Avalonia, and here you can click on Avalonia website, and here under developers you can click on the documentation, and under documentation you have resources, and under resources you have the XAML Playground. So here, if you see, you will get this nice looking playground uh, window where you are on the left hand side you have the XAML code, and on the right you have the controls. So here you have the samples. You can either make changes here on the playground and see the relevant changes happen. For example, if I make this disabled, and you can see the changes in real time on the button text. So you can play around here, or you can also use this code and paste it in your UI. So let me fire up Visual Studio, and on Visual Studio let me create a new project, and let me search for template Avalonia. So if you do not see these templates, please check out my previous video where I have talked about how to install Avalonia on your machine and how to get started. So I will select an Avalonia project, a .mvvm app, which is over here, and let me click on next. Let's just give this name. Let's say Avalonia app, and click next. And let's click on create. So let's quickly look at some of the examples that we have so that it is much easier to understand. So while it is loading, let me go back to the playground, and let's start with the basics, and let's go here and select the button control. So here you can see we have several types of buttons. We can have a standard XAML button, which is over here, and then we have a stack panel over here, and then we have a stack panel over here. So here we have a standard button which does not have any properties. It is just based on this text that we have provided, and it is extended, or its height and width are set automatically based on its content. So here we have a standard button. Then we have a button with a foreground of white over here. Then we have a button with a background set to a dynamic resource, and it is set to an system accent color, which is a dynamic resource that is provided by Avalonia. And then we have other properties like is enabled, and the content changed, and there are some styling resources as well. So here you can see we have a red style, dark red, red, dark red theme, and so on. So you can use these themes and styles to apply to a button. You can either enclose it inside the button itself, this style, or you can add these styles inside the app.xaml file. So here it is within nested within the button control. And then we have a repeat button. Here you can see this repeat button. So a repeat button is nothing but I don't know why it is not working, but let me copy this code and paste it in XAML. So let me take this part from here, right from the stack panel, and the closing of the stack panel. Let me copy this, and here you can see I have this XAML previewer. Most of you might not see this, and that is because you do not have this extension here that I have installed. And if you go to installed, you will see that I have this Avalonia for Visual Studio previewer and templates installed. So you can go ahead and install this extension, and you will also be able to see this build preview. So moving ahead, let me copy this and sorry, let me paste it over here, the code that I have copied, and you will soon see. Let me build this once. So like I said, we have a stack panel over here with all these button types: a standard button, a button with different properties, a button with styles, a repeat button, and a toggle button. So let me run this. And then we have another stack panel here over here, which has a border thickness of 0. Then we have a border brush with blue system accent color, and then we have another property appended added to it, which is a thickness of 4. And then we have a thickness of 4 with the property is enabled false, so that's why this button is disabled. And then we have another property called is tab stop false. So let me run this application and see all these buttons in action. So here we have our Avalonia app launched. So this is a simple button. We have a foreground button, background color button, disabled, pre-themed. So you can see these styles are changing based on the styles we have nested within the button. Then we have a repeat button, and then we have a toggle button. So this can be used as a switch, and then we have the regular buttons. So that's it for the buttons. So let's stop this application and go back to the playground, and here let's take a look at animations. So in the previous videos, in some of my previous videos, I've also talked about I have two duplicate windows. Let me close these windows here. And in my previous video, I've also talked about animations. So you can either check them out. Those are in detail on how to use keyframe animations, but the playground also provides some samples. It's better that way. So they have, for this path to be created, they have created this path here over here, and then they have templated it as icon, and then they are using this another template path which is called as a heart, and then they are using these templates here below, and then they have animations over here, and they are creating these keyframes which I talked about in my dedicated video, where we can set different styles or properties to rotate and transform or scale the animations or objects in the window. So you can go through this, or you can also check out my video where I've explained things in detail. So next one, we will talk about this acrylic controls. So here you can see we have a list of tiles here, and we have these sliders which on change changes the opacity and material opacity of these tiles. So basically we have these styles and these sliders over here, and they are named with tint opacity slider. And then we have these text blocks which are bound to this slider. So as and when you change the slider position, you will see the value changed here in the text block. So here you can see that it changes from 0.5 to 9. So this is the binding done here, and then you have then the same value of this tint opacity slider will be used here on each of these tiles. So you can see that the tint opacity is bound to this opacity slider value. So that is the reason when you change this tint opacity, the tint opacity of the acrylic material changes. Then you have also the material opacity slider value bound to the material opacity property. So that is how the values of these acrylic panels change, and it is a very simple example of how to use it. Then we have borders, and we also talked about borders in the buttons that we used. So that is simple enough. So whenever you need a border to be whenever you need a control to have a border, you can simply enclose them within a border element, and that control will simply have a border allowed. So here you can see with this text block, first text block has a border, and it is using a dynamic resource and a border thickness of 2. Then we have another border which has a background, a border brush, and a border thickness properties applied, and also a padding of 16. And then we have another border over here which has a corner radius of 8, which makes this button or this text block rounded. And finally we have one more with a background set to system accent color. Next we will talk about button spinners over here. So we can try this code here. So you can simply copy this stack panel, and we can go to our code. The other examples I did not copy because the code was too big and I did not want to make the video that lengthy. But here you can see the code is copied. I see an exception here. Okay, let me go to the window back and let's see what it is. So there is a namespace missing. I have to do here. I don't have this assembly or core lib available. Let me go back, see what control it is using. I don't know if we need it or not. Now let me run this application and see. So basically that exception tag that you saw, if you have this library available, I have not no clue on honestly I do not know what this is used for, but basically I think it is used for validation errors. So this control is in that library, and if you have that library installed, then you can definitely show errors like this on your controls. So here you can see we have this checkbox which with the value allow spin, and it is checked equal to true. And then we have show button spinner checked equal to true. So you can see that, so these are bound to the button spinner allow spin and show button spinner properties. And as and when you update the value of the checkboxes, the allow spin property of this button spinner are disabled. And then the next property is show button spinner, which hides and displays these button spinners on the buttons. So these are the bindings that are done over here. And then we have the text block itself. So and this part over here is the validation to display the validation errors. So I do not have the library, so that is the reason I had to comment this out. But you can look through the documentation and see how we can use these system exceptions. Maybe it is a good idea to display exceptions on the controls. So here on the right hand side we have several calendars and selection modes and other properties set. So we will walk through them one by one. So let me take this stack panel over here, which has this title for the calendar, and paste it in my code over here. So let me remove all of this and just paste the stack panel, which displays the calendar. So the selection mode is none, and the calendar selection mode over here is also set to none. So we would need one more text box or text block over here. So let me add that text block here, and we'll set the text of this text block to the calendar dot selection mode, and let's name this calendar. Okay, so we have a calendar and we have a text block. So let me run this once. So we have our selection mode as none, and as you can see, we are not able to make any selections on the calendar. So the next one, the next property, we'll only look at only some of the properties. So we'll look at only some of the properties. So here we can take this property called single date, and let me just comment this out. I don't think we need this. Just, and let's change this to single date. And now when we run this, so we will be able to select a single date. And let me go through one last example, and that would be multiple range. And let me run this application once again. Okay, so this selection of multiple ranges, you can do it by holding on to the shift key after selecting a specific date, and then you can click on the date, and then it will select all the multiple dates that you desire. So that is how you can select multiple dates. So there are other several other properties that you have on the So there are other several properties that you can take a look on the calendar control, and those will be like the name that you want to display on the calendar, and the other selection modes. So that was it for the calendar. Next we will take a look at the calendar date picker, which are very good looking, I would say. So here you can see we have this calendar date picker, and we can um, so we have here the calendar date picker, and we have the property called selected date format, which defines whether the date format should be short, long, or a custom date format. So if it is a custom date format, you have to provide the format string in the properties, and then you can see it has this displayed as a placeholder text, the format that you want, and it has a nice looking icon, and when you select the date, it snaps into place. So here you can see you have a different format. We have a custom format that we have set here in the that is set here in the custom date format property, and then you have blackout dates, and then watermark, floating watermark. So here you can see we have a floating watermark on top, and watermark when before this when it was loaded, and this is the typical disabled date drop down. So this is all for the calendar date picker, which is awesome. And then we have the canvas control, where you can do path geometry. I will not go in depth on this, and it is very rarely used, but you can always create your custom shapes and draw it on the canvas and make use of the canvas. Then you have the basic checkboxes. Then we have clipping. So this is basically to apply the clipping property to the geometry that is over here. So here you can see this is the setter or the style that helps you to create this shape, and you can have your own values. You can generate them online for any kind of shape that you want, and then you can paste this path geometry value here, and then here you have this border, and inside this border you have this text box called Avalonia, and a render transform to rotate the path. Then we have a checkbox which says use mask, and it's checked equal to true by default, and the apply path geometry clip value is set. So now as when you uncheck this, so you can see that geometry is being removed from the rectangle, but if you click on it, it will be applied. So basically you are applying so here you can see classes.clip, and it is bound to this isCheck property, and what is basically applied is this clip or this shape or the path geometry on the shape. So that is how you can use this clipping control. And then you have the combo box, which are the regular combo boxes here. So we have the combo box here with a placeholder text. So Avalonia also provide this property to display you with the placeholder. It is also true for WinUI 3. So you can show placeholder text on the drop downs. Then you have an item. You can also define different custom combo boxes items and also set their templates. So here you have a control template, and you can have custom values. Here you have an array list. I think there is some error over here, but here you can have an ellipse as a combo box item. Then you can have a rectangle and a text block inside that panel. So basically we are adding a panel which houses a rectangle and a text block as a combo box item, which is over here. So this is the panel, and it has a rectangle and a text block, and then the next one is the ellipse, and then we have a text box as a combo box item. So you can do endless possibilities with these controls. And finally we will move on to the context flyout. So the flyout control is a nice control to have. So you can have when you right click on the control or a property, element, you can have these kind of flyouts with menus and submenus and also checkboxes as a menu item. So you can simply use it by creating this suppose if you have a grid, and inside this uniform grid you have a border, and then inside the border you can create this flyout context flyout border, and you can set the flyout menu. What is the menu that has to be displayed when you right click on the control? So in this example you have a different flyout. So if I So this is dynamically generated, it says, and here you can see should never be visible, and here the same cancelable option is shown in the flyout. So you can do this or you can do this. So here if you see, if I take a look at the last one, okay, so here we have a flyout menu, and it is basically inside the flyout we have this checkbox. So when you right click on this element, it displays you the flyout. So there are several other options as well. So here inside this we have a custom flyout for a text box. So if you see here, if you right click on this text box, it shows you a flyout menu which is housing. So this is the flyout menu, and when you click on the text box, right click on the text box, it will display basically this flyout control over here, which is quite long. So it houses a stack panel, and inside the stack panel there are setters. So basically you can display the whole XAML that you want inside a flyout. So any set of, you can display basically a group of controls in a grid or a stack panel or any layout panel within a flyout menu. And you can basically write any sort of XAML that you want in a flyout. Basically it is a pop-up window which houses different controls. So that is all for flyouts. Then we have context menus. So if you see here, we have set this context menu, and inside this context menu we have the menu items. So if I right click on this, so you have this menu items same as the flyout. So you can use this, so in the previous example we use this menu items inside a flyout, but here in this example we are using it inside the context menu. So that is all for the context menus. The next one would be the date time picker. So we also saw the calendar picker control. So here this is a date time picker. So the first one here is this simple text block. After this we have the stack panel, and inside the stack panel we have basically the control is over here. This is the date time picker. The rest is just to demonstrate it in a nice way, but the date time picker is over here, and this is the default date time picker. So it gives you this nice scrollable month, date and year fields. So the next one is another date time picker. Basically this date time picker is again having this validation errors if we select an unrealistic date, but this will show you an error if a wrong date is set based on the validations error you have set for that date time picker. So next one we have a formatted date time picker which only has date and year. So the day format is D, and the year visible is false. So here you can see we do not have a year, we only have a month and day format. So the day is basically D, and in the brackets you see DDD, which is the day of the whether it is Monday, Sunday, or and so on of the week. So that is for the formatted date time picker, and the format is set over here. You can see the format is set over here, and this basically is for us to see what format is set. So don't get confused. It is just this date time picker that you need to focus on. And the last one is the simple time picker. So here you can see we have only the time picker and not the date time picker. So here we, in these examples we had the date picker, and here we only have the time picker. And then we have time picker with minute increment 15. So here you can see, so every that is not the one. Okay, here time picker with the header and minute increment specified. So here you can see we have the minutes at every 15 minutes interval. So if you say 17, and you can either go to 17:15 or 17:30 or 17:45. So that is how the minute increment property works. And I think I will leave the rest for you. You can also set the clock identifier as a 24-hour clock or a 12-hour clock, and based on that you can see AM or PM indicators and the time in hours. So that is all for the date and time picker, and which are the basic controls, but we have the expander controls. So next, so here you can see we have a stack panel with all these expanders. So each expander can house the individual elements or a group of elements inside a stack panel or any layout panel, and they will be displayed in the expander. For example, now the header of this expander is expand up, and when you click on the expander, it will show you the hidden stack panel that is inside the expander. So here, since the expander direction is up, it extends the content up. So likewise, we have expand down, expand left, or expand right. This is just the header that we have set over here in the header element. It doesn't mean that you have to use it. You can use your own custom header to display content based on your usage. Then we have flyouts, which we discussed earlier. So when you click, you can display a flyout, and this flyout can contain the sample that you need to display. Then you can also click and show a menu inside a flyout. You can also show attached flyout. So if you double click to launch an attached flyout, and I don't know why it's not working, but anyways, you can show sharing flyouts. You can launch a flyout on this button, and you can also set the placements for these layouts. So here it nicely describes what type of placement you want by setting the placement property of the flyouts. So here you can see, if we go, I think, yeah, we are somewhere over here. Yeah, so here you can see there are several placement options, properties that we can set on a flyout. So placement top will open the flyout on top, and clicking on this, it opens the flyout on right and in the bottom, and so on. So that is the placement options, and so that is how these properties work on the flyout. So next, let's see if we have anything interesting. So labels, I think everyone knows what labels are used for. And then we have layout transform controls. These are basically some rotate transform applied on the buttons and the layouts. So, and then we have menus, which we talked about. We have numeric up and down controls. These are basically spinner buttons. So I'll not discuss much on that. Then we have the progress bars. So I think there are several other controls, and I think you will have to take a look at them. There are radio buttons. Then there are relative panels. You have sliders, which we talked about. Then we have spring. So this is basically an animation that is been created. You can take a look at this keyframe animation video to learn more about this animation and keyframes. Then we have tab controls. So you have this nice looking tab controls available, and here inside this tab control, we have the tab items, and based on the tab items, you can house your controls or elements inside each of these tabs. Then we have the text box, which we also looked in the previous videos. We have a toggle switch. This is a nice control to have. So it is an on and off control, and you can also have custom controls, and this is pretty straightforward, so I'll not jump into it. And then we have a view box. Basically, it is kind of a container for the elements that you want to house within it. So these are all the controls that are there, and which I briefly touched. But you can go and try these controls out and see what all possibilities you can find. Please let me know in the comments what all you can find from using these controls. Also, there are other Avalonia videos like this Fluent theme. You can switch or use different themes in Avalonia. You can create your own theme for your window, and I've explained it in this video, which is a nice video. There is also a video on live charts, so how you can use live charts on your or graphs on your windows. So you should definitely check it out. And lastly, you'll also need to check out this XAML previewer that I talked about. On the right hand side, if you can see a designer, so that is possible using this XAML previewer. So hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and do subscribe to my channel. Till then, bye bye.